I set that up that way because one of the things that I like to do, and one of the things that I usually recommend, is set yourself up with a business CD account. Now, it doesn't have to be a business CD account. It can be a secured business account, right? Where you now have, let's say, and we're going to use simple numbers here. Let's say I have $1,000, right? And everything that I'm about to say is on the screen. I'm just going to verbalize this for you. Let's say that I have $1,000. I open up a business CD account. I then open up that business CD account for $1,000. That money now becomes frozen on there. The bank now issues me, let's say, a term on that payment that I have to make every single month, right? Let's say it's, example, I don't know, $55 a month as an example for me to make that payment. You're probably thinking, okay, I'm using my own money though, in order for me to pay my own money back. Yes, here's why. When that account goes to report over to the business credit side, it reports as unsecured. And so it almost flies under the radar to the banks, to the credit unions, that when they go to take a look at your business credit profile, they say, oh, wow, Bank XYZ, which I'm going to give you guys a slide here in a second of which bank I like to do this with. Bank XYZ issued a $1,000 business loan to this company, right? After, and it ranges from bank to bank, sometimes 6 to 24 months. This is why you'll want to do your due diligence on this, because it does range between 6 to 24 months. That money that you have sitting inside of your frozen account, which in this case is like the CD or that business or that loan that you secured, now becomes unfrozen. So they give it back to you. You can then use that account or use at least 90% of those funds, 95%, to pay off the remaining balance. And then you just have a 5% utilization reporting over to that side, right? So you've now gotten your money back and you built up some credit along the way. I know that a lot of us are familiar with this method because I know Rad's talked about it on his channel. This is the Navy Fed pledge loan method. But you can use that same framework inside of the business credit realm. These are some of the go-to products that I would usually recommend. And one of the rare times,
this is the word.
Were you good?
Bro, they don't even know the information they're getting. Like, so many people are like about secured credit cards for businesses, because I talk about that. Literally, guys, this is where you invest in your business credit. Yes. Okay. This is where you put money in the bank and let the bank make trade lines for your business. Yes. So you can then get more funding for your business without doing all this crazy shit. Okay. Look, implement, execute, make it happen, guys. And even if you don't have great credit, you can work on your personal credit while you build out the business credit with secured funding and credit partners and all types of stuff. There's lots of ways to get the job done. We got to be radical marketers. Say, the mainstream says X, Y, and Z. How can I get this done by thinking outside of the box, not being a robot, and get things done? Being a problem solver, learning to solve problems, learning to find solutions will make you a very rich person. Just because people say it can't be done doesn't mean it can't be done. Also, be very, very mindful of who you're taking advice from. Are you taking advice from people that have business credit, or do they not have business credit? I mean, why are we listening to financial advice from people that have never made money, have crap credit, have made horrible life decisions, and have no business credit? Why are we taking financial advice from them? Why? Because the same people telling you, killing your dreams, saying it can't happen, it must be a fraud, must be a scam, all this is irrelevant. Because literally, they don't even know what they're talking about. Take advice from people that are qualified to give it in specific areas of your life, especially financial advice. Okay, because this is all entertainment purposes anyway. But this is not financial advice. This is our entertainment to you. Okay, this is our disclaimer to you. When you guys join this mentorship program, we already told you this is not financial advice. You can take this and double check the data points and all that. Guys, listen, man. This right here, what he's giving you, guys, we could be, guys, this like what Jerry Spence said, my boy from New York. This right here is worth so much money that most programs that you join won't even give you this information because they don't know it. They don't know it because they're copying other programs.
I love it. Go to banks. Wells Fargo would be one of the only reasons why I would even recommend Wells Fargo would be for this, because the barrier of entry is so low. It's $500. It's is where they start. A lot of other places, they start at 5K, 3K. You got to be, your LLC has to be aged for at least 6 months before they even consider it. New LLC, as low as $500 with Wells Fargo. Bank of America, secured business credit card. That would be a good look for you. You can fund that. I believe they start at 700. Sometimes they move the target. I've seen it as low as 500. Like Rad said, though, this is one of those things where you always want to cross-reference, because the interesting thing about the credit world is that targets move, especially as the economy moves. It's closely tied to the economy. So the numbers that I give you today, again, depending on when you're watching this, whatever they say on the website is what it is. It's not what I'm giving you right now in real time. Fleet Core, because I have a mega play for you guys with Fleet Core later on today. Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Fleet Core, which keep an eye on that because I got something special for you guys, and Tillfull. Now, with Dun & Bradstreet, you want to have at least 3 to 5 accounts reporting, which brings you to about a 70 on the Paydex score. This is typically where vendor and supplier accounts are going to report 60 to 90 days to start actually seeing the account reporting. So I need you to be patient when you are going through this process. This isn't like a PG where you apply, boom, boom, you got the card, right? Time and a place. If you want to take this route seriously, just got to be a little bit patient. 60 to 90 days, baseline. The sooner you get on this, the quicker you start to build. Experian and Equifax, you want to have at least 2 to 3 accounts reporting. This is going to bring you outside of the auto failing score that they give you for not having anything on there to begin with. And so their accounts, whenever they report, again, one of the fastest ways you can change your information on there is either A, use the framework that I gave you earlier, shooting off that email, or B, when you make that payment, if it's updated already with the creditor or with the vendor that you have, things like your LLC name, maybe if you have a new EIN, a new business phone number, like whatever that is, when you update it with the vendor or the creditor, it gets updated inside of the Experian and Equifax business, like we covered earlier today. This is typically where financial accounts are going to report, like business credit cards. Banks are sometimes going to check both your personal and your business credit profiles to determine your credit worthiness. Me and Rad were actually talking about this. I did a funding play on, who was it, right? It was Fifth Third Bank.
Yep.
And I think it was, they checked Experian personal and Experian business for a client. And the only reason that they knew that Experian business was pulled is because their NAV shot off an alert. And then when they looked at the bank, it told them Fifth Third Bank. So something to keep in mind, 100K, yes, it was PG, but it was no doc because Stellar Personal Credit and Stellar Business Credit was attached to it. Again, no doc. That means that you didn't have to show any type of tax returns or any type of bank statements. Now, business credit based on a tier or level guide.
Real quick, because we keep saying business line of credit. Can you, like in 5 minutes or less, explain the difference between a business loan and a business line of credit and why a business line of credit is better than a business loan?
Okay.
Just so it lands with people in the room that maybe keep saying line of credit, credit cards, I got loans. Like, just
it's interchangeable. I see your point. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do it. So business credit cards, business loans, and business lines of credit, they sound similar and people use them interchangeably, but they're different. A business credit card is essentially that one plastic that you have where you can swipe, right? So the issue that you have with that, or actually the pros on this, I'll go pros and cons. The pros that you have with a business credit card is that I call it like an Army Swiss knife, right? Where you can use it for just about any transaction, as long as it doesn't really require you to dump some of that into real estate where you have to use it for a down payment, because at that point, you have to get creative pulling the money out. You guys are in this community. You guys are smart. So if that's the route you wanted to take, you can go ahead and do so, right? Again, the pros with it is that you can essentially use it for just about anything. And it's one of the easiest things to get because it usually goes off of app only, AKA no doc, AKA stated income, which means whatever you put on the application, that's what they're going to go off of as long as your personal credit score is intact. And the secondary, your business credit score being intact. So whether you are a startup on day one or year one, business credit card is going to be your go-to because it's the lowest barrier of entry, which is why funding companies tend to use that method over anything else. Your business loans and business term loans, that's when it gets a little bit more intricate, because then at that point, that's essentially, it's a loan. And so that's what we call like a lump sum of money that's hitting your accounts, but it's not revolving, it's an installment. So if you have a $60,000, let's say, business loan that hits your account, is that fantastic for building business credit? Yes. Is that fantastic for a real estate project, construction? 100%. The only issue, though, downside, remember, is pros and cons. The downside to having that is that once you pay that off, that's it. It's gone. You have to go back out and get another loan. Business lines of credit, however, it's like the best of both worlds, which is why me and Rad are talking so much about business lines of credit. And we're going to continue to talk about business lines of credit on our channels. And we're going to continue to bring you guys more content even next week when we're talking about funding frameworks, is because with business lines of credit, it's like the best of both worlds. One, you usually get a much lower rate on a business line of credit than you would on a business loan. That's a given. The second thing is that it's as good as cash, meaning once that line of credit hits your account, you can extract from it, and then you only pay interest on the amount that you are using, not on the total lump sum. So if I have a $100,000 business line of credit, and I take out $25,000 for a project that I'm working on, for payroll, for my construction guys and gals in the room, right? We know that we're usually future pacing projects where we have to pay for those projects in advance out of our own pocket. I can use that $25,000 business line of credit to future pace that project. And then as money's coming in, I'm only paying interest. So let's say in Rad's case, 3.5 on a prime rate on the 25K that I took out, not on the 100K that I have. And you can also use the interest that you pay as a tax deduction as well, because none of this money is taxed anyways.